Hey, what's up? It is me, E. Davis, coming to you live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This is week 3 of our celebration of Black History Month, our Black writers. And of course, I'm excited to talk with you. First, do me a favor and subscribe to this channel. And reintroducing myself if you're new to this channel, I am E. Davis, CEO of Writers Block Publishing LLC. You can find us on writersblockpublishingllc.com. That's our website. Facebook, Writers Block Publishing LLC. Twitter, Block Publish. Instagram, Writers Block Publishing LLC. Or you can send me email at writersblockpub@yahoo.com. So, as you can see, I am more than excited because we are definitely discussing some of these awesome Black authors for Black History Month. Week 1, we discussed the amazing Maya Angelou, James Baldwin, Octavia Butler, and W.E.B. Du Bois. Week 2, we discussed Zora Neale Hurston, Alex Haley, Dorothy West, and Richard Ellison. And I am very excited because today we are discussing Eleanor Bland, Amari Baraka, if I'm saying his name correctly. I'm looking at my chart. And August Wilson, he is a Pittsburgh legend. And of course, my favorite girl, Toni Morrison. Look how beautiful she is. And this weekend is also her birthday weekend. She will be, her official birthday is February 18th. So I'm so excited to be discussing her book, Love, and also just having some fun chit chatting with you about these awesome writers. First up to bat, I'm going to leave Toni for last. So as you can see, um, first up to bat, coming from my notes, we have um, Amiri or Amari Baraka. He was born in 1934. He was a poet and a political activist, using his writings as a weapon against racism and becoming one of the most widely published African American writers. Known for his socialism and style, Baraka explored the anger of Black Americans and advocated scientific socialism, often controversial and designed to awaken audience to the political needs of Black Americans. He was a prominent voice in American literature. Inciting controversy through his career, he was accused of fostering hate while at the same time being lauded for speaking out against oppression. Often focusing on Black liberation and white racism, he spent most of his life fighting for the rights of African Americans with a writing career that spanned nearly 50 years. Raka is respected as one of the leading revolutionary cultural and political leaders, especially in his hometown of Newark, New Jersey. His representations of race and wisdom have made him an influential part of the Black arts movement, along with Nikki Giovanni, Sonia Sanchez, and Maya Angelou. Together, they have gone on to inspire young generations like Terrence Hayes. So that's just an amazing. I have yet to even know the work of this gifted individual, but I do see a common theme so far with the writers we are studying is that they are definitely discussing the Black cultural. They are discussing the issues dealing with race during their time, and they are definitely dominant in their field. So I'm looking forward to actually learning and researching this individual. Um, to, to be considered a radical, it, I guess in those days was some type of insult. To be considered controversial is also a type of insult. But um, one thing my mother used to always say: "The truth kills a man, let him die." So if there's something that he has said or some point he has made that kind of struck a chord, then hopefully those individuals were able to understand where he's coming from, respect where he's coming from, and use his saying to help bring a change. So, next on the list, we have I keep calling her Elizabeth Taylor. It is Eleanor Taylor Bland, and she's an African American writer of a crime fiction. She was the creator of Lincoln Prairie in Illinois, a police detective, Marty McAllister. So I'm on the computer pulling up her information. Elizabeth Eleanor Taylor Bland was born in Boston, Massachusetts. After marrying at the age of 14, she moved from the naval station Great Lakes in North Chicago, Illinois, with her husband, Anthony Bland, who was serving in the U.S. Navy. She, Taylor was not her father's name, not her maiden name, which was Gierchevsky. That's different. She and her husband remained together for 31 years, celebrating Black love before parting. Okay. So, although she was diagnosed with Gardner syndrome in 1970s and given a short time to live, she managed to overcome the disease. And years later, however, she fought several bouts with cancer. Bland received a BA from the University of Southern Illinois in 1981, and from 1981 to 1999 worked as an accountant. She had 2 children and several grandchildren and reside in Waukegan, Illinois, during the years of her life. So, those in Illinois, if I botched up your city's name, many, many apologies. Um, so, regarding her work, her first novel is Dead Time. That was done in 1992, introducing a sleuth, African American police detective Marty McAllister, recently transferred from Chicago to a small town of Lincoln Prairie, Illinois. Her second book, Slow Burn, was actually the first one written, but no publisher wanted it. That's a heavy piece when you are rejected from publishing companies when you know you have quality work. Several novels featuring McAllister followed, so that's kind of gives on the concept of writing a series. So if you have a great character writers out there, and you're not ready to put that character to bed, think about creating a series. Marty's works in collaboration with a male partner, Polish American Vic Josinovic, and their contrasting styles have been described as city reared, streetwise, spunky, and intuitive and Baptist. Versus Meticulous, which was Marty's character, who was meticulous, small town minded Roman Catholic. So as you see, her characters was bridging the differences between two different people as well as communities. Vic's family, Vic's family, and community life and social issues are also strong elements in the story. So she definitely touched on a lot of issues that a lot of people may not want to address: family, religion, race. In a survey of women detectives in crime fiction, Maureen Reddy points out that almost all African American women writers create detectives who have children and family life, because typically women have children, they have a family life. Bland herself once commented that the most significant contribution that we have made collectively to mysterious fiction is the development of the external family, the preeminence of spouse and significant others, most of whom don't die in the first 3 chapters, children who are complex, wanted, and loved, even pets. So, what I'm gathering just from that information is that she wrote about women who, quote unquote, have it all. They have a fascinating career, they have a family, they have a husband, they have children, they have responsibilities at home, being mother and wife, as well as responsibilities at jobs. And they are, I guess, to use the slang term, slaying it. They are killing the game. They are winning the game. It's what they call Black Girls Rock, Black Girl Magic. So, big ups to Miss Bland for creating such an awesome work ethic, awesome books. And again, I'm not familiar with her work, and I'm looking forward to doing my research on her more, and maybe picking up of these novels to introduce myself to Detective McAllister. So coming forward now, as for these people are here, I will be such a fan, such a groupie. We have, where is August Wilson at? So forgive me for not being organized, but I think I'm more focused on Miss Tony, even though I'm a big August Wilson fan. August Wilson is from Pittsburgh. I'm going to wing it right now. August Wilson, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. From my brief research on him, he actually was expelled from school, if I'm not mistaken. Expelled from school, but didn't tell his family because he didn't want to, I think, upset his mother. So instead of going to school, or telling her that he was expelled from school, he went to a library and studied his, not studied, but read um, tons of novels, tons of books, tons of poetry and fiction. And then he got his concept of writing just by listening to other people talk in the diners and the delis in Pittsburgh. So he was inspired by the concept of communication, how they would talk about socialism, they will be philosophical on how things were, and hence he started writing amazing plays. Okay, Fences. Of course, the movie that Denzel Washington and Viola Davis starred in was a play that James Earl Jones was in, and I saw both. Um, Amazing is an understatement. Um, August Wilson lived on a hill in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the hill was during the, I think, the between the 20s and the 40s was another type of Renaissance. A lot of prominent, dominant in the arts came from the Hill District in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So August Wilson has some lineage and some legacy and some pedigree in that atmosphere, which is awesome. He was born Frederick August Kettle Jr. in the Hill District of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the fourth of six children. His father was a Sudeten German. I am botching up these names, but I'm sorry. Who was a bakery pastry cook. His mother, Daisy Wilson, was an African American woman from North Carolina who cleaned homes for a living. So, those who don't know, and those who do know and don't care, and those who do know and want to relish in it, if that's the correct word. August was biracial. He was multicultural. So um, I learned from my husband, who is biracial, that you can kind of see both ends of the spectrum. You can see, um, I guess, the white man's point of view as to why they feel the way they feel, and you can definitely see it from the black man's point of view. And he told me that he was able to witness his parents' conversation. Some things his father said that his mother didn't get, but that was just, I guess, how a black man's view or a black woman's view, as opposed to um, his mother saying something and his father didn't get, and that was the white woman or white man's view. So um, that kind of helps you comprehend society, help you um, understand, and also help you want to make a change more so because you're literally growing up in it. If the risk of sounding, the risk of talking too much or rambling on, from my experience, knowing my friends that who are multicultural, they kind of have, I don't want to say the best of both worlds, but they can relate on both ends, and that kind of helps widen their spectrum on how they view things. Um, his writing career, Wilson knew that he wanted to be a writer, but his creative tension with his mother, who wanted him to be a lawyer. That says that says mothers who want the best and skilled and reliable paying job for her children. She forced him to leave the family home, and he enlisted into the United States Army for a 3-year stint in 1962, but left 1 year and went back to working various odd jobs as a porter, short order cook, gardener, and dishwasher. And that's usually how it is for writers, where we just have to take a job to pay the bills. Writing does not always guarantee you a steady paycheck. If you're an independent writer, you have to work harder. You have to market yourself more. You kind of have to get on people's nerves to get them to buy your book. Whereas if you're assigned to a major publishing company, you get an advance check, you get better marketing, you get better press. So he was doing what he had to do to pay the bills. Um, he changed his name to August in honor of his mother, after his death of his father in 1965. The same year, he discovered the blues as sung by Bessie Smith, and he brought a stolen typewriter for $10, which he often pawned when money was tight. At the age of 20, he decided he was a poet and submitted work to such magazines as the Harper. He began to write in bars, the local cigar store, and cafes, longhand on table napkins and on yellow pads, absorbing the voices and characters around him. He liked to write on cafe napkins because he said it freed him up and made him less self-conscious as a writer. So whatever it takes for you to get that story out. There's no proper structure to write. I personally, myself, I like to write in a notebook, and then I'll write it again in another notebook, and then I'll put it onto my computer. So we all have our ways of writing. He would then gather the notes and type them up at home. Gifted with talent for catching dialect and accents, Wilson had an astonishing memory, which he put to full use during his career. He slowly learned not to censor the language he heard when incorporating into his work, so he had no filter. That's okay. Malcolm X voice influenced Wilson's life and work, such as The Ground on Which I Stand in 1996. Both the Nation of Islam and Black Power spoke to him regarding self sufficiency, self defense, and self determination. As he appreciated the origin myth that Elijah Muhammad supported, in 1969, Wilson married Brenda Burton, a Muslim, and converted to Islam. He and Brenda had one daughter, Sakina and Shari Wilson, but they later divorced in 1972. So, Wilson's work is best known for Fences, which won him a Pulitzer Prize and a Tony Award. These are established awards for writers. The Piano Lesson, back in 1990, a Pulitzer Prize and New York Drama Critic Circle Award, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and Joe Turner's Come and Gone. Wilson, I can't even elaborate because his his work just speaks volumes. Every year, in the last weekend in April in Pittsburgh, there is a August Wilson block party celebrating his birthday. Yours truly likes to attend that and vend and sell her books and meet some awesome people. If there is the August Wilson Center in Pittsburgh, and it's an amazing center. And hopefully, here's wishful thinking. Hopefully, E. Davis can get a center located somewhere in Pittsburgh. Most of my work does not take place in Pittsburgh, but I do like to shout out to the burg whenever I can. Big ups to the 412 and the 724. We got some famous people from Pittsburgh, such as Wiz Khalifa, Christina Aguilera, Michael Keaton, and of course the late great Mac Miller. So Pittsburgh is making us known, and we are this Pittsburgh Steelers champions. Even though the Patriots got the sixth ring, we had it first. A little playful jab there. However, if you are not familiar with August Wilson, take your time to do some research and study him. His work is phenomenal. Listen to him talk. You can get just caught up into his mind. He's just an amazing writer. So as you see, at the risk of rushing through these three awesome writers, I give much respect to them all. As mentioned, the two I'm not familiar with, and I'm looking forward to doing my research with them. But I'm ready to dive into our birthday girl. I personally like to celebrate a birthday leading up to the birthday because it is it is the coming, it is the anticipation of your day. So I like to personally say happy birthday to my favorite author, Toni Morrison. If I ever have the opportunity to meet you, I salute you. A beautiful woman. Your words are poetic. You set the bar for many writers, especially those who are fans. She has she always liked to write, but she didn't consider herself a writer until after The Bluest Eyes was written, which was a book that she was inspired to write because she wanted to have a book that she wanted to read. She was a teacher. She, like me, was a single mother, and I salute that. She, her regal demeanor just speaks volumes. Seeing her on the cover of a book, seeing her in interviews makes me want to sit up straight. She just, I can't just describe her enough. So I'm going to pull up my notes on Toni. Um, I'm glowing. You think she was sitting right here? I'm the biggest dork in the world when it comes to Toni Morrison, but I'm proud to be a dork about it. She's a Nobel Prize and Pulitzer Prize winner, and she is considered the voice of African American women. So she's my voice. Growing up in an integrated neighborhood, Morrison was not fully aware of racial divisions until her teenage years. Dedicated to her studies, she went on to earn her master's degree before moving to Howard Tech to teach. It was in the 1960s when Morrison became an editor at Random House that she began to write. While she had published Bluest Eyes in 1970 and Sula in 1973, The Song of Solomon was a book that set her on the course of literary success. It became the first work by an African American author since Native Son by Richard Wright, and also to be featured selected of the Book of the Month Club. The publication of Beloved in 1987 is considered to be her greatest masterpiece and won several awards, including the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction. Young author Daniel Evans and Braden Jacobs cite Toni Morrison as one of her influence. So I'm not the only groupie in the bunch. Um, I can't recall um, how I stumbled on Toni Morrison. I just knew that at one time, I believe I was 22 years old. I wanted her books, and I was dating a gentleman, and he asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I told him Toni Morrison's books, and I wanted them all. So we went to the bookstore, and he spent about $60 on books, and he was so livid. He said, "I can't believe I spent $60 on books." And I said, "You ought to be happy you don't have a girlfriend that's making you buy jewelry and clothes and shoes." I wanted books. So I still have those books too. And I'm not dating that guy anymore. So I'm so petty. Nevertheless, I fell in love with her book. Her books. Those who are not familiar with Toni Morrison, it is at first a hard read, a difficult read, because she writes very poetically. She kind of jumps ship from subject to subject, but it actually comes together. So you kind of have to keep reading for you to really get the full understanding of her work. It is, those who are not a fan, I will say this: it is not a easy read or a leisure read, but it is a read if you just want to get caught up into another world of different lives and understand what makes people tick. It is a book that deals with African American community. It deals with also her work deals with also heavy heavy subject matters. The book Jazz deals with a couple that kind of grew apart. They're experiencing midlife crisis and they don't really know how to talk to one another. Um, Violet in Jazz is going through the change, and Joe is going through his midlife crisis, so they can't communicate. So that happens in relationships when they reach a certain point in their marriage where they just can't communicate. So instead of getting counseling, instead of trying to understand each other, they kind of wander off. The Bluest Eyes is about a young girl, um, maybe no older than 16, where um, if she had blue eyes, it would make her beautiful. That's something very dominant in the black community where your black is not beautiful, your dark skin or your brown skin is not something to be complimented or celebrated, where the light skin was more preferred. And if she had blue eyes, if she looked, if she had that European standard of beauty, then she would be accepted. And that's kind of sad when you don't have the parents or the friends or the good support team to tell you that you are beautiful. Your skin tone is beautiful. Your eyes, your nose, your lips are beautiful. Um, that's just that struck a chord with me as well. Thankfully, I had an amazing family, amazing support, where we didn't judge each other by the skin tone or the color of our skin. We had a loving family. If there was any type of discord, it was just because of their personal conflicts that they did stupid stuff, but nothing to do with skin tone. And that the Song of Solomon, beloved, the movie, not the movie. I'm sorry, thinking of Oprah when she did the movie. The book dealt with a mother killing her child, so she doesn't have to deal with slavery. And we all know that's a very heavy subject. That's a sore subject. That's a bitter subject. But just think of you taking your own child's life so you can save your child's life. It's very, very heavy. So moving forward, I want to hit on the book Love. And this book is about two sisters, two individuals, Heed and Christine, who are fighting for their rights into a particular home. Heed is the wife of Bill Cozy, a very well respected black man in the community called Up Beach. And she was a young bride, and she was not to be expected the bride. And people hated her, people plotted against her, they talked bad about her. And there was Christine, a relative who felt that she was due the inheritance when Bill Cozy died. And this book is a crazy, crazy, crazy web of scandal, a web of sabotage, a web of maliciousness, um, a web of secrets, and a web of bitterness. This book is excellent, excellent, excellent. But at the end of the day, it comes down to love. And if you love someone, you put up with someone. If you love someone, you deal with them. If you love someone, you help them. If you love someone, there's nothing that anyone can say or anyone can do that can deter you from your love, from their love, is because it's the individual, it's who they represent that generates that love. And so, Tony, I again salute you for this awesome book. Um, I just can't say thank you enough. Hopefully, one day I get a chance to meet you, sit at your feet, and soak in your wisdom. Anything you can teach us young writers, what to do, how to move forward in writing, how to encourage us is, of course, I know me. I will have a thick notebook and a heavy pen, taking tons of notes. So um, I'm gonna wrap this up because I'm just rambling about my love affair for Toni Morrison. Next week, it is our final week of celebrating Black authors during Black History Month, and we will be discussing the amazing Langston Hughes, Alice Walker. We know her from the book The Color Purple, Richard Wright, and Ralph Ellis. So once again, thank you all for joining, and I will be talking with you soon. Have a great day.